knows. Good evening, everybody. This is Tim Little with Distilled Living. Welcome to Crazy Cabin Fever Cocktails, episode 59, wherein Afton is going to do some beer cocktails for us. Now, I am not following along because I don't have the right beer. So I'm going to learn, just like everyone who is watching. I do have my Elijah Craig, so I'm just going to drink some Elijah Craig while Afton does her thing. And then once I know what her cocktail is, then I can go get my stuff and make her cocktail myself later. So Afton, over to you.
Great, thank you so much. We are streaming live from the incoming Great White Ice Apocalypse of 2021 in Kentucky. So we could lose power at any moment, but Crazy Cabin Fever Cocktails is that we're familiar with the sort of situation. So the show will go on. But what I'm going to do is follow a really basic formula of making a cocktail, and I'm going to throw in a little surprise ingredient that can help you out if you're in a bind and you want to throw some interesting stuff together. So of course this will be bourbon based, so we're turning to our good old classic tried and true Elijah Craig. A little bit sweeter but a lot of complexity, so I feel like it's a no-fail option for bourbon based cocktails. And so we're going to make this be our base spirit and then complement it with a sweet element, and then I'm going to use something bitter to give the whole thing full complexity. So I'll do 1.5 ounces of my Elijah Craig because I want to mix a little bit of this really nice dry vermouth, kind of like if I were making a dry Manhattan. So I'm going to split my base spirits a little bit. So we'll do 1.5 ounces of the Elijah Craig and then just 1/2 ounce to give ourselves 2 full ounces of a spirit base of this Trincherry dry vermouth. And I recommend anytime you're using a dry or sweet vermouth, to give it a taste on its own. So this is a really nice, light, definitely sweeter tasting dry vermouth. It kind of reminds me of bubblegum on the aftertaste. So just be aware of what you're using as far as your sweet level, spicy level, any fruit notes. So you're in tune to what flavors you're working with for the whole finished product. And then to sweeten this, I've made an orange syrup, which I did just by steeping orange peels in a homemade simple syrup. So I'm going to do not quite a full ounce because it is really sweet. So we'll do about a 3/4 ounce there and then give this a stir because we've got all clear ingredients. So it just needs a good stir to get it mixed and chilled. And then I'm going to strain it over a super fun ice sphere tonight. I actually really like the flavors of this together, so I don't want to dilute it too much with regular ice cubes. So as we know, spheres are great for enjoying bourbon on its own, but sometimes it really does have a place in a cocktail if you want to preserve sort of your richer flavors and have less solution as you're drinking it. So that should be about done there. But I've forgotten one thing. I definitely have spirits, some sweeter spirits with caramel and what I said, bubblegum flavored vermouth. And then of course our super sweet orange syrup. But this obviously needs something bitter or sour or something else to give it that final balance. But where are my bitters? I should be adding bitters. I don't have bitters, but you don't always need bitters because a great replacement is beer. We get a lot of questions with Distilled Living when we teach cocktail courses. Is there a substitute for bitters? And there really is not. There's not a good substitute. You can try Worcestershire sauce, maybe some dry spices out of your cabinet, but nothing really kind of matches the super bitter quality of bitters. But beer comes pretty close and you want to be careful with it. So I'm just going to do maybe about a 1/2 ounce splash. I'm using a pale ale. Err on the safe side and start with just a little bit, maybe give it a taste. If you want a little more bitterness, add a tad more. But it's amazing how much balance you can get by having beer as sort of a topper, like a finishing bubbly effervescent effect on your cocktail. But we're hop crazy culture when it comes to beer. So there's no shortness of bitterness in most craft beers that we can find. So, pale ale is going in this cocktail, but think how nicely you could do with a porter or a brown ale, or maybe even like a chocolate stout. You get a little extra flavor plus some nice bitterness, and it really rounds it out. And this is quite good. So to give a little extra punch, add a little more spiciness, I'm going to garnish with the cinnamon stick. It's still seasonal, being wintertime. This would probably do well with a lemon peel as well. And I am taking votes for names on this drink. Nothing came to mind. So if anybody wants to throw one my way, I'll take it. But there you have it. Elijah Craig, a dry vermouth, an orange syrup topped with a little bit of a local pale ale, cinnamon stick garnish. And we've got beer in our cocktail. Very useful.
That's awesome. I don't have the right beer, but it makes me realize I believe I have some stout on hand. So all I've got to do is I do need to make that orange syrup because that sounds like it's a critical ingredient in getting all the flavors correct. But that's very doable. That sounds like an excellent cocktail. I'll try that and we can talk about it next time.
It can almost be, what's left over in your bar and kitchen sort of cocktail. It's dry vermouth. I feel like it's something you get and don't use a whole lot unless you're a big, classic martini drinker. So it sort of hangs out in your fridge for a while. The orange syrup I used, I had a couple of extra oranges that just weren't getting eaten. They were going to be in the fridge for a while. So turned it into a syrup. And then, there's always beer on hand for me. So, if you didn't have any bitters, which I do run out once in a while, you can kind of throw these together and still make something that, really tastes like it's balanced and well done.
That's fantastic. I will try that. Maybe some variations like you suggested. So there you go. And if anybody makes them at home, please send us some feedback. We've been getting some messages from folks who are doing our crazy cabin fever cocktails at home, working our way through they're working their way through our library and trying various things. So this sounds like a great winter cocktail. If you make it, share it with us.
And as always, actually, we're changing the time to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At least during the winter hours, it's kind of dark out and we kind of feel like we should probably be doing this a little bit earlier. We might change it again in the summer, but Wednesdays at 8 p.m. for a while now. So we're going to switch to that. And so we'll see you again next week.
Yeah. Cheers, everybody.